Like the sounds of cannons on the horizon, please return with me to the amazing Doc Green Show, because I like things that go kaboom.
The doctor will see you now.
And welcome back to the show. Glad to have all of you out there. I see Phil Waite's still with us. That's awesome. Phil Waite asked the question, why is Trump endorsing rhinos? Because he gets bad advice. And he probably should get out of the endorsement business, to at least to some degree. But you got to remember, more than 75% of the Republican Party are what we would call Republicans in name only. And we say that for this simple reason. We have a Republican Party platform, and we have a priorities list, and then we have the Constitution. And a real Republican is going to adhere at least to 90% of the Republican Party platform. And the reason why that's important to me is because as a precinct chair and a long-time activist in the Republican Party, I've always gone to the convention. We've worked very hard to create that platform. We spent our time and our treasure to create that platform. And so then if you're just going to ignore it like Governor Abbott does or like Dan Patrick does, it's kind of irritating, maybe even disrespectful. So anyway, glad to see you out there, Phil. Glad to see the chaplain, Gypsy Robert. Glad to see the chaplain, Tim, in there. And, of course, our good friend Julie up in New York. Always glad to see you. And I'm sorry I don't have time to just say hi to everybody right now, but we're going to do it. So, Tim was, well, let me do this. Welcome to the show, Bianca Gracia.
Hi.
And you're running for Congress in...
Nope, Texas Senate.
Oh, you're running for Texas Senate. Thank you.
Senate.
Well, that's much better than running for Congress, so I'm really happy to hear that. And I see Tim Kelly. He was at the event that we had at Papa Yokes last week, where you had General Flynn down to speak for you.
That was awesome.
That was no small thing.
No, it was really awesome. I didn't expect him to say the things that he said about me. He's been getting to know me more and more as I've been on tour with him, and he studies me, and I know he studies me because I watch, and he, when I go up and speak, he goes out into the audience to listen to certain people speak. And so when he, I guess because if he was thinking of throwing his support behind me, then, he needs to know who he's supporting and endorsing. And so that's how that came about. But, Doc, you and I go way back, I say. We do, yeah. And I don't mean like 20 years back, but I mean, like, we go way back when this whole...
Well, I first met you when you were out doing events. In fact, I think I met you at the...
Papa Yokes.
Well...
Just kidding, I don't know.
No, I think we met, first of all... when Drag Queen Story Hour was happening.
Yes.
And look, I don't care if you want to be a homosexual, that's your business. But I don't want my children exposed to that.
Yes.
I want them to have a chance to grow up without being sexualized. Yes. And so that's why we were protesting Drag Queen Story Hour being held in a public library.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they refused a Christian organization to hold a Bible study story time down there. They would not let them have that.
Yes.
But yet they were promoting Drag Queen Story Hour. And of course, we later found out that not only were all the drag queen performers there actual strippers working in entertainment clubs.
Or not only that, do you remember the guy that he had like a criminal record, and it was with
two of them.
Yeah, two of them did.
Were actually baby rapers.
Yeah, baby rapers, exactly.
Yeah.
And they were dressing up to get into the libraries. That's disgusting.
Yeah, and one of those rapes took place in that library restroom. So now, for all you guys out there all you homosexuals out there that are going to go nuts and are going to go after me again like you did last time, I don't really care. You guys do what you want to do it behind closed doors, keep it to yourself.
Yep.
I don't want to hear about it.
That's right.
And I'm not putting any words in Bianca Gracia's mouth. She'll speak for herself. But we did meet down there at that event, and you were down there, I think, reporting on it at the time, which is why I was there. I was down there to report on it, and I got arrested.
Oh, that's right. You sure did. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I'm telling you, but Doc, that's what I'm saying. Like, we go way back with, going to the marches for Trump, covering those things, and me being president of Latinos for Trump, and then being part of that whole MAGA movement.
You were one of the early guys, as I was.
The early guys. Yeah, I remember.
I went to Wisconsin to work for Trump for 10 days, me and 15 of my closest friends, on our own dime. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. So most of us have done that, all volunteer. So it's, no one really understood MAGA. They didn't get it. The Republican Party sure didn't get it.
No, apparently
they
not.
didn't, and they still don't get it. They're still trying to go back to their old ways. They think Trump is out. Great. We got rid of him. Now we can go back to business as usual. But what they don't understand is MAGA is alive and well. And boy, are we more activated than ever before. And, I read something this morning, and somebody said, look, we are MAGA to the core, even if our own president leaves us behind. And I said, that's a strong message. And I think the base...
Yeah, it's not about any one individual. This is about the spirit of America, Bianca Gracia.
Yes. Well, think about it, Doc. When I started this whole journey, I had to go sell it to the Republican Party to vote for Trump because they didn't even want to support him. And I said, God, you're focusing on a man and a name. You need to see beyond that. This man's been chosen for such a time to be a bold leader, to stand in the gap for us so that we can do what we need to do. And people just couldn't, they just focused on Trump. It was all about Trump. So even like left-wing journalists, when they come and try to interview me, and they're like, but you're called Latinos for Trump. I'm like, hold my drink real quick. Let me tell you, we were birthed from Trump. We don't idolize Trump. Do we love him? Do we support him? Did we advocate for him? Of course we did. But it wasn't about Trump. It was about the policies that he was championing, the policies that he was fighting for, the fact that he was non-political. He was didn't fit into the little Republican cube. And so therefore it ignited a base, the sleeping giant, remember this silent majority. And and so I remember having to go to Republican parties and speak and saying, you guys need to vote for Trump. And you don't know how many people, like even Dan Patrick's son at the Magic Circle, I will never forget that, Doc. I still happened to be at the Magic Circle that day, and it was before Trump had already won the nomination. And Dan Patrick's son stood in the back of the room and he's like, ladies, look, forget about Trump. Forget about the top of the ticket. Just vote all the way down. Forget about the top of the ticket. Just vote all the way down Republican. And I
what
thought,
the hell's the matter with you?
Listen, and I remember this, and I'm like, what in the world? And I thought, did I really hear this right? See, remember, I was not politically involved. I had just become politically involved because of Trump. So I was like, did I hear this right? So then Trump gets into office, and guess what? Lieutenant Dan Patrick is over there advocating for his son to get an appointment. And guess who got the appointment? Dan Patrick's son. I'm
really surprised that happened.
And I was like, I remember seeing it, and I'm like, is nobody going to expose? And Doc, the one thing that I really regret is not filming that meeting, because normally I would walk around with a live phone.
Well, that's why I try to shoot video everywhere I go. Because
Doc, I so regretted it, because I was like, I can't believe that Trump is going to appoint him, not knowing that this man was standing in the back of the room saying, don't worry about the top of the ticket, just the bottom, just the bottom. And,
but they didn't see what you and I saw. We recognized that Donald Trump was exactly what we needed.
Yes.
And now, as well, except for those of you that watch the news, now that Donald Trump put through more of the Republican Party platform than any president in history since George Washington.
That's right. He really did. And that's what people don't understand, is Latinos for Trump is not about Trump. We don't run around, ooh, Trump, we're not groupies. No. We don't follow him around. But we championed his policies.
Yes,
we got a legislative director.
Yes,
we got a legislative director that would go and she would advocate, at the Capitol. We had one that would do everything behind the, she'd be keeping up with everything going on. She'd feed it to the one that would actually walk the halls. And then they would kind of keep everybody else abreast. And all I would do is say, okay, send it out to our platform and our members and everybody. I'm like, okay, time to call, time to email. Boom, boom, boom. We got to hit it hard, hit it hard. We got to let them know where we stand. That's really what activism does, right? That's what you're supposed to do. So activate. And so it's been a journey, Doc, definitely a journey. I mean, we have come under so much attack. And that's what people just don't understand. So I'm like you, when you said, hey, there is a party platform, there's legislative priorities, and when your own Republicans don't adhere to that, it upsets you.
Well,
because I became a national delegate.
We work hard,
Exactly.
and you know what it's like. I mean, you
2
know,
years,
you take
or two terms.
You know, I take 5 days out of my life because I'm just a precinct chair. I don't get paid for doing that.
Oh, but Doc, if anybody has not gone to a state convention, remember, I just became a precinct chair in 2016, and then started to learn the process. And so I trained others in 2018 and in 2020 to become delegates. And so it's intense. The people who fight on these legislative priorities is intense. I mean, they fight about this stuff, like what is priority and what is not, and what it needs to look like, and how does it get worded, and where does the comma go? And I mean, there's fights about this stuff. So there's people who actually really put time and effort, and they don't get paid for it. And
we put our time and our treasure into that.
Exactly. And when an elected official that we help as activists elect literally ignore that, it's disrespectful.
Well, that's what I think. I'm personally insulted when Dan Patrick or Governor Abbott say, well, we're going to put together a blue ribbon committee to decide what we need to work on.
No, there's no blue ribbon committee. It was at the
we were the blue ribbon committee.
Exactly. It was like, this happens. Hello, did you? I'm like, okay, when you're an elected official and you just don't get that anymore, it's time to go. It's time to go. You've been too long in politics. You're in too much power. It's time to go. Thank you for your service. We thank you for getting us this far. Let the patriots now take over. This is now Steve Bannon. You know, I interview a lot on the War Room. I go on there and he calls me firebrand. And he says this, what we have learned now is that there's a unit party system going on. And we the people are not part of it.
We should mention, for those of you that do not watch the War Room with Steve Bannon, he's got more market share than MSNBC. So
yeah. So
and he runs it on a shoestring.
Yeah, exactly, on a shoestring. So, and that is when I started hearing that, and I'm like, after seeing everything while Trump was in office, and you see everything getting exposed, and you start wondering, well, okay, hold on a second. I think I've caught on to the song and dance. Okay. Because remember, when Trump got into office in 2016, we had full House, full Senate. And they still couldn't get anything done. Well, no. And they would blame it on the Democrats.
They didn't want to get anything done because they weren't on our side.
They weren't on our side.
They were appalled.
They weren't on Trump's side either. So they would say, oh, we just blame it on the Democrats. Because then
they said they're going to repeal Obamacare. Then we found out they hadn't even written any legislation in the previous 2 years.
Nothing. They're liars. They just keep us, they're liars, and we've caught onto the game. Like, if you are a true grassroots activist, we're onto your game. We're onto your game. And the biggest job for me and a person like me is to take that message to the people and say, you've been played, you've been fooled. This is what's happening. This is what's really happening. And listen, right now, look at the RNC. Oh, we're going to take a hold of the House and the Senate, and you're going to see. Now they even got Trump repeating that.
Yeah, well, you're not going to do it without us. I can tell you that.
Exactly. You're not. And this is the thing. I'm like, now you got Trump on your sound bites and your little talking points. And I'm like, okay, something isn't right here. I'm on radio. I'm known as La Conservadora Tejana, which is a conservative Texan on 1440 Keys with Bob Jones, if you know Bob Jones. And so we're the coastal bend, but obviously, just like radio, people can hear anywhere. I've been on radio for 2 years. You're
probably acquainted with El Conservador as well, out of San Antonio. And a friend
George
of mine for many years. Yeah.
Listen, George and I are pretty much, we're some staunch conservative,
That's why I love it when he gets on Telemundo.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome.
They think because his last name is Spanish that he's going to
just bow down to their rhetoric.
But he doesn't.
They don't like people like us at all. So on radio, I literally questioned this, Doc, this weekend or this past week. I said, something's up. Something isn't right. And I can't put my finger on it. And I said, Trump's endorsements, and it's not just Texas, because Texas, it's not just that. It's national.
Well, it's national.
It's national. It's Georgia. Listen,
and of course, you've been doing national politics. I want to turn the corner a little bit.
Yes.
I want to start talking about what's really important, and that is the Pink Palace in Austin. And I call it the Pink Palace because it's made out of pink granite, and everyone in there thinks they're royalty.
I love the Pink Palace. I'm gonna start calling it that.
So that's what I call it. So you want to go to the Pink? You want to go to the Pink Palace? You want to represent Texans in Texas?
Yes. So yeah, let me tell you, this whole journey again has been an eye-opening journey. I didn't want to run for office, and I think I've said this so many times. I work for the Republican Party.
Yeah, I've known you for several years.
I said
you
I
don't
want to have nothing to do
interest.
with that. I have no interest in running for office. I have no interest in writing a book.
We should mention you're married. You're a housewife. You're a mother. Your husband's a cop.
Homeschool my kids. And my husband's a sergeant. So retired and veteran. My brothers are veterans. But that's how I started to speak out, because of them. And so but now this past year, with all the revelation that we have seen, the dirtiness and the corruption, I really prayed about it. And I said, well, maybe if I do run, I'll wait till 2024 or something. Let me get my, I'm on tour with General Flynn. I mean, and just, getting just exposed. There's more.
I don't want to thank you for that, because I got to meet the general, and I never had been able to meet him before.
He's so humble and just down to earth. And so anyhow, so I prayed about it. I'm a prayer warrior. And, I've been, people have said, she's not a real Christian, but well, you don't know, and you can say whatever you want to say, because I know Jesus, and I know, and I know who I am. I know I'm the daughter of the highest king. And that's all that matters. I don't care
that's what they said about Trump. He's not as good a Christian as I am.
Yeah, you're never a good Christian. But yeah, if you go back and you read the Bible, and the Bible, God uses the murderers, the rapists. He uses all the sinners and he turns them, right? Because God loves the sinner, not the sin. So I prayed about it, Doc, and I actually went to Moravian Falls, where I go pray a lot with some of my pastors in North Carolina, Prayer Mountain. And I asked the Lord, I went specifically and I said, do you want me on the ballot? Now, the one thing, I didn't know he was going to answer that weekend, but he did, and he did it while we were in service. So I should have said, do you want me on the ballot, and where do you want me on the ballot? Because I didn't say that, but he answered me. And his answer was, I want you to sell everything, buy the field, and go after the pearl. And I was like, oh my God, sell everything.
Wow.
When you hear that, you go, oh my God, I'm going to have to sell my house? Like, I'm going to live homeless? I mean, what are you talking about here?
Some of you guys know what she's referring to, and I'm not going to go into it right now. But,
well, I was
if you do,
later.
you do. And if you don't, well, we'll find out.
So I said, okay, I've got my answer. And they're like, I think you got your answer. So I came back and I said, okay, I forgot to ask you where. So I was looking at several races. I literally did want to run against Dan Patrick. That was kind of actually my joke. I said, if Beto O'Rourke joins a race, I want to go and run for lieutenant governor, because I want to go follow Beto around and just, make sure he doesn't continue to lie to the Hispanic community. That was kind of my joke. And then he throws his name in, and I'm like, oh, this is huge here. Like, do you want me to go for lieutenant governor? Do you want me statewide? I mean, where do you want me? And that night, as I really prayed about it.
It's really hard to run statewide.
Yeah, and it is. But I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And that night, I was scrolling through my Facebook to just kind of catch up. And they're like, oh, Senator Taylor of District 11 is not seeking re-election. And I was like, what? So I literally.
That's my district.
I was my district. And I was like, oh my God, God, what are you telling me? Like, is this where you want me? You got to answer me. So at 7 a.m., Bishop Benjamin Leon, who is in Virginia, never has called me before. I'm on tour with him and General Flynn. So I talked to him during the tour every once in a while. We prayed together. But I never talked to him. He never had called me. He calls me at 7 a.m. And I'm like, he's like, Bianca, this is Bishop Leon Benjamin. I was like, what can I do to help you? Why you call me so early? He says, I'm about to board a flight, and the Lord just told me to call you and say, he said, it's time to go. And I was like, oh my God, time to go. I was like, so I'm getting my answer. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And my stomach was, my stomach was in knots, because Doc, if people know me, I love what I do as an activist. I don't want to be in this political arena. And I was like, God, what are you doing? I was like, oh no. So I'm like, okay, I got to be obedient. I'm just going to stay obedient. So there I am. I literally rushed, because we have another General Flynn thing in Dallas. And I'm trying to figure out, what do I even do? I don't even know what I have to do to run for office. So I'm like literally researching, trying to figure everything out. And it just was a whirlwind after that. So I literally filed at the last minute, resigned, because, I was going to, resign from my positions, I'm still president of Latinos for Trump because it's a nonprofit, but I have people, thank God I have a team. And so they're in place. They're really running things, which is great. So people said, well, what's going to happen with I said, you guys, the great thing about what God has done is he's multiplied me. So I've been training people all along.
That's what Jesus taught us to do, though.
Yeah, we train people because when you're not there, they run it.
Yeah.
They're leaders. I don't have to delegate things, but they still come and they're like, hey, what do we do about this? And I'm like, looks great to me. What do you think? I want them to feel empowered to make decisions. So they do. And I'm like, I don't want to stress, and I don't want you, this is not I'm watching you and I'm going to tell you what to do. So they're doing their thing. They're letting me do my thing and they're helping me. I've gotten a wealth of support from just grassroots people. But listen, when I tell you that I'm running against the establishment and the RNC, I literally mean that. I'm literally running against the RNC committee, man.
You don't have to convince me, and probably most of these guys, I'm looking at the chat room here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can't read the chat room, so I have no idea what y'all are saying. But I will tell you, listen, I'm not going to talk bad about people. There's things that I can say.
Let me ask you.
There's things that I can say about my opponents.
The primary election is coming up on February the 14th.
Is early
and
voting.
you have a challenger in the Republican Party.
Three.
That's
All
incredible.
Men. Yeah. No Democrat opponent. So whoever wins the primary will be the next senator.
Well,
this is what's on the line.
Larry Taylor needed to go. That's what the chaplain Gypsy Roberts said.
Listen, and respectfully, I had thought about years back, I said, even not wanting to be in the political realm, but I thought, if I ever did run for something, I would maybe look to in my backyard. Because people had said, oh, why don't you go for school district? And I'm like, okay, that's kind of a little insult for me as an activist. If I'm on a national platform, you tell me to go run for school board. I'm not saying that I can't do that, but I think I would aim for something a little bit more.
For all you young people out there that are listening to the show and you're thinking about politics, I recommend that you do run for school board. That's a great place to stop, and it's critically important. Though my hashtag abolish public school notwithstanding, because I think the public school system has destroyed America. But I'm getting off the topic.
Yes.
All right, now I got to ask you hard questions, because you're going to go to the Pink Palace and you're going to be representing. And so except for I got the feeling that when you get there, you won't think you're royalty. So I like that.
No, not royalty. Actually, we've been kind of joking behind the scenes, saying that, if you remember when Jesus went into the palace, right? We can call it a palace. And he turned over tables and cracked the whip. Okay, so my spiritual leaders.
Yeah, be like Jesus.
We've been talking about, they're like, oh, Bianca's not going in there to be part of the country club. She's not going in there to be, oh, yes, sir. No, sir. Bianca's literally going to go and toss turntables around and crack a whip. So we've been joking that Bianca's being sent there to literally shape Texas back, or put Texas back into shape, or whip Texas back into shape. That's what they've decided. So my team has decided that, and I just kind of laugh about it, but listen, Doc, there's so many different things. So ask me questions, because I want people to know where I stand.
I ask the same basic 4 hard questions of anybody that's running for that office. So we're gonna get started with the elephant in the room first, and that is, right now we're bringing in several hundred to several thousand brand new Americans every day across our southern border. What would you have to say about that, Bianca Gracia?
So that's why I go on Steve Bannon's War Room to talk about the border crisis. Well, actually, I was one that called it out very early on, back in March of 2021. I said, we don't have a crisis, we have an invasion. And Steve Bannon literally got on me. He's like, Bianca, you can't just come out in the war room and say this. And I'm like, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing, and what my people on the ground are seeing, and what Border Patrol is telling us. So, I was getting numbers because the Border Patrol was like, you got to help. They gagged us, and you got to help us. So, number one, Latinos for Trump, Latinos for America First. We are probably one of the only Hispanic organizations that exists that is anti-amnesty and anti-citizenship.
Okay. Well, my experience with American Latinos, Texans,
yep.
George, for instance, over at San Antonio, my experience is they realize that illegal immigration threatens their family even more than it does those of us with European surnames.
Well, you'd be surprised. So I've always been an advocate for border security. It's one reason why I did support Trump, was because of he was going to,
build the wall.
Build the wall. And then finish the wall. And so so that's what we wanted.
And the Republicans fought him every step of the way.
And every step of the way. But here's the thing. Somebody said, well, what they've asked me questions about that. I'm like, look, I'm going to listen to what the experts tell me. And the experts are the Border Patrol agents and the people that are actually at that ground zero fighting the battle. And if they say they need a wall, if they say they need drones, if they say they need whatever they need, that's what they need.
But Greg Abbott put the National Guard on the border,
well,
right?
The National Guard has been told to stand down, and they're actually helping the rafts and the cartel. They're pulling in the illegals. They're putting them on planes and buses on your tax dollars and shipping them all over the country, pretty much wherever they want to go, to every city. And, in my district, Doc, there is, in Harris County, there is 3,300 and something unaccompanied minors as of November that were dropped off in Harris County. In Brazoria County, 55 unaccompanied minors. And in Galveston County, we have 800 and something unaccompanied minors. Well, guess what? Where are they? Number one, because we don't really know where they've been placed.
We don't know where they are. That's part of the problem.
Second thing is, if they're going to go to school, guess who's going to pay for it? If they need medical assistance, guess who's going to pay for it? So if you do the math on how much we pay for a child at school alone, wow.
So the National Guard is operating more as a concierge service than Border Patrol.
Service, which is really sad. But listen, they want to do their job. That's the problem. They want to do their job.
That's probably why the suicide rate is so high now. The suicide
rate between Border Patrol agents and National Guard, because this is not what they signed up to do. They signed up to defend the country.
They feel duped.
Domestic and foreign. So they're being told that's not what they're supposed to do. So imagine that, you're now thrown into a political arena, and you're not set up to be a political arena. You're set up to defend. And when you're told you can't do your job, we got issues and we got problems. So Governor Abbott is lying about all that's going on down there. And, and we've called him out, which is why I was removed from one of his town halls, because, I was going to heckle him. Why would you be afraid of a Hispanic female? Who does that?
A simple housewife. Why would you care?
What kind of tyrant King Abbott is? I mean, people, and you know what's sad is that people still really believe that he's doing a good job.
Well, I'm like, that's because people don't pay any attention.
No. And that's where, listen, if you still like him, great. But we've got options, people, and we've got good options, and we have got to look for
I'm here to tell
leadership.
You, as a Republican precinct chair, I did not vote for him, and I have never voted for him.
Wow.
So I didn't vote for the Democrat, but I can't vote for him because he's just so bad. He's a Democrat in Republican clothing, and he's always been that. That's why I put up the video. Greg Abbott's a Democrat. Changed my mind.
You've been around for a long time. Remember, I just came into the game in 2016, so I didn't know any better. I thought, yay, we got to elect all our Republicans because we got to win.
Yes.
How was I supposed to know they were betraying us until you get into the system?
I'll probably catch some hell for that admission, being I'm a precinct chair.
Well,
but
you know what? I mean, it is what it is. Look, Doc, this is a problem. We have elected, because you're an elected official at the end of the day.
Yes,
you're a precinct chair.
Yeah, precinct chair is an elected position.
This is the problem, that we have people who are saying, oh, I'm sorry. No, this is a problem with our elected officials. You elect them and then they feel that they can't be outspoken or they can't stand by the righteousness. This is what the problem is with America. Look around, people. Look around at what's happening in our country. And then you want to go back and elect the same people that put you in the place that you're in. This is the same message I have for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, you are endorsing people that literally put you where you're at today, sir. And that is not in the White House, because the Republican Party was just as much against you. Because let me tell you something I've not been able to say. And look, again, not going to say bad things about my opponents. They do have some things and issues. This is what I will tell you about my opponents.
And to be fair, you guys are welcome to come on here if you want to answer the same question she is, okay?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. They're good conservative guys. I'm not going to knock down. They have good voting records. They've been there. That's great. But we're not looking for those people that are going to go get along.
I kind of like getting another outsider in there, though.
No, we need
a
people.
Mother, a wife.
No, we need people. Exactly. No, Doc, we're past that. We're past that. I'm going to go there to get along and do what Dan Patrick or whoever is in there. We're past that. We're past that, guys. We have to draw the line, and it is now patriots over party. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. Trevor Loudon has been talking about communism in our country
Another
for a very
mutual
long
friend,
time.
yes.
Yes, our mutual
And
friend.
he's
He has
been on
said,
this show.
you're 2 cycles away from completely being full-blown communist
And
country.
he knows what he's talking about.
And he knows what he's talking about.
Trevor Loudon, guys.
2020, we thought we had it made. And we got our election stolen. So this is what happened. So 2020, I'm like, 2 election cycles, guys. Okay, if you continue to vote in the same people, they're great, but they're not fighters. You need a fighter. You need people who are bold, who are going to stand by righteousness. We are past the party line now.
You just got the Scottish endorsement. I'm watching the chat room.
Thank you. No, it's time. It's time for leaders, boldness. No more excuses. No more, okay, well, maybe, I don't know. No, there's no more being bought out. You cannot buy this seat. One of my opponents has spent, I don't know, they're saying, at first they said 2 million. Now I've heard 6 million. I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with this picture. You call yourself the grassroots activist. Mm-hmm. You're calling yourself grassroots. You're being propped up by Dan Patrick. You've bought out Trump's endorsement. You're saying you're grassroots. You're, hold on a second, but you're spending these millions of dollars. First of all, number one, guys, I've learned that being a Republican is being fiscally conservative. I would never, ever, ever, ever pay millions of dollars for a position to pay $7,000 in return.
Yeah, keep an eye on that and ask yourself that question.
Listen, again, not saying anything bad about the person. The person is conservative. But I'm like, when you're starting to pay that kind of money for a Texas Senate seat, people out there, you've got to ask the questions. Why are you paying that amount of money for a position that pays $7,000? Okay, it doesn't make any sense, right? So I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with this picture. I will ask this question of our, RNC committee man, which I haven't been able to ask him the question in all fairness.
That would be Dr. Robert Armstrong.
Yeah, Dr. Robert Armstrong. But
I think he's a little bit better than Ronna McDaniels, and I have no use for her at all.
Dr. Armstrong is a great conservative. I'm telling you, we have some good people. I have good opponents. I'm not saying they're bad, but here's my question. You're the RNC committee man. You have been representing us at the national level. Trump told us in June of 2020 that the election was going to be stolen. The RNC raised millions of dollars, millions. In June, why were they not hiring poll watchers and attorneys to be already on sites knowing? Why wasn't that happening? That's a question for the RNC, and it's not on it doesn't fall on Robert Armstrong completely. But I'm going, you're the RNC committee.
Ronna McDaniels,
why were
she's
you not
a real problem?
Right, correct. But why were you not advocating? If you're telling us that we're supposed to trust you, send you to Austin to buck the system because you bucked the system with the COVID, hold on a second. You had opportunity to buck the system during when we were in trouble.
You could have saved America.
I mean, you could. I mean, I'm just saying, we don't know that for a fact, but you could have bucked the system at that point. Why didn't you? That, again, these are just, I'm not trying to start up anything because I really have respect for Dr. Armstrong. I do have a lot of respect for him, but I'm going, there's some serious questions that me as an activist, not as a campaign person, me as an activist, these are the questions I ask.
Well,
I've always asked these questions.
And you're the kind of person that would ask those questions.
I always ask those questions. Why?
I've got some hard questions for you because I know you gotta go pretty soon, and I want to make sure we get to all of these. Right now, it is impossible for a Texan to ever own their land. The way it works in Texas is the government owns everything. Yes. And if you can pay the rent, they'll let you live there. What would you do about that?
Definitely going to support anything that eliminates property tax. Definitely. Because it affects me. I mean,
well, of course, you're a homeowner.
And I'm a homeowner.
A home renter.
A home renter. and I'll never own my property until, seriously, not even when you pay your note off because you still have to pay the taxes.
No. And in many cases, the tax bill at that point is larger than what the original mortgage payment was.
Yeah. So, and Doc, as a homeschooling mom, the money that goes to the public school system so they can indoctrinate our children doesn't even follow my own kid.
Yeah, so you're spending your money, but you're getting exactly nothing for it.
So I'm like, there's a problem with it. So guess what? You ain't going to have a stronger advocate than me that's going to go and literally turn the table and crack the whip on that one.
My position is I think they should figure out how much money the property tax brings in because they're deathly afraid of having to tighten their belt and calculate that based upon what the retail sales are, which they know up to the minute what that number is, and just put it in a sales tax, and then let Texans own their land. And we don't need to phase this in over 5 years. This should be phased in over 5 minutes, in my opinion.
Well, you know what? And I'm not the expert on how it should look, but I will support. And not some 10-year, 20 plan. Listen, not no 10, 20-year plan. I think that obviously
that's my problem with Don Huffines. He wants to phase it in over 7 years. And
he's got a good plan, and I understand it. But Doc, if we can do better, I'm all for better. If there is another plan and we can actually sit, experts at the table and say, okay, pros, cons, everybody lay them out like real leaders should. Pro, cons, lay them out. What do we do? Move numbers here, there. Okay, this is what's going to work. And that's what's better for the people. That's the route you go. And I am for the elimination of property tax. I would love to own my own home. I would love to actually have more money that I could actually invest in properties and become an investor. So wouldn't that be great? So anyway, that's where I'm at on that one.
Okay, next hard question. Where do you stand when it comes to killing baby Texans? Because right now the largest baby murder facility in this hemisphere happens to be on I-45 South, not that far from where you live.
That's right. No, and that's in my district. So you're saying these are hard questions. These are actually very easy for me.
They're hard for some people.
Well, they're not hard for me. I'm right wing, Doc. I'm a right wing bad person.
Well, I'm a domestic terrorist. I ask these same questions of everybody, and so
no. So here's where I stand. Me personally, as an evangelical, I am pro-life, absolutely pro-life. I don't support the government funding any kind of abortions. I don't support Planned Parenthood. I am for abolishing abortion if that's what we need to do, and that's what we need to do. But here's where I stand, and I did talk about this on the radio, and I hope there's something that I talked about, and I don't want it to be misconstrued that people are like, well, she's like for pro-choice. No. Here's the thing, though. This is what's wrong with our leaders, Doc, is that we, as a Texas senator, my job per Constitution is to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, so life is life, period. So that's my job as a senator. But as a mother and as a woman, go and make that law and pass that law and vote for the law. I can do that. But however, we still have issues and problems on the ground. Okay, so we need solutions on the ground. So here's my thing. So I said, look, what about those? Because the question was, what about the woman that gets raped or that it has incest? Okay, so I said that's tough. So I'm don't want to be in that position to tell another woman that she can't make a decision. But this is what I really, really feel. That is a decision between her doctor, and hopefully a pastor. There needs to be some kind of church involved in those decisions. But here's where we go back. How do you really fix this problem? Because the left is going to be, oh my God, melting when you say about abolishing abortion.
My fix for it's simple. Make it illegal to kill baby Texans. Well, that's where I'm at.
Hold on. But we still have to face the fact that there is women out there that have been programmed that they're repeat offenders at Planned Parenthood. They're getting 5, 6 because we made it so easy.
Someone used it as birth control.
We made it so easy. You can just go kill the baby. No big deal. Yeah. This is how do we break that mentality?
And they're getting state money in some cases to doing it for free.
But how do we break that? So this is my solution as outside of the Senate. Okay. What I would love to do is I would love to, number one, put the Bible back in the schools. I want kids to know that there's God.
Which is a great idea, and I recommend it.
And that there's 10 commandments.
But that's the 20-year solution.
Right. No, Doc. But we have to take, it may be a 10-year, 20-year. What has the left done to our kids? Indoctrinate them. So we have to turn the ship around. How do we do it? We make sure that God is back in the school system like he was always.
I'm absolutely for that because the Western civilization, the Judeo-Christian ethic, is what made America great.
That's right.
And it's the only thing that's going to really return us there, but it's still a 20-year solution.
So, but again, you start to put God back.
I mean, it took them 20 years to convince our children that they were bisexual.
But again, we have to push for that so that children can now start learning that there is a commandment, thou shalt not kill. So that when they get to those ages, they start now think, well, there's consequences.
Once again, for the people that don't read the Bible and don't understand it all, the literal translation is "Thou shalt do no murder."
Yeah. So there we go. It's that's to me is a solution outside as a woman, because I am, look, I've talked to women and they're like, but that's my choice, my body, my choice. And it's funny how it's my body, my choice, but when it came to COVID, it wasn't my body, my choice. I had to get vaxxed. I was like, no, my body, my choice. So I get that argument. Okay, fine. But number one, I shouldn't be paying for your abortions. The government shouldn't be paying for your abortions, and taxpayers at all shouldn't be paying for your abortions.
Agreed.
So that's where the hard line is for me. So I am, and I will support bills that will abolish abortion, but I also want to be the woman that champions solutions for the actual communities that are affected by these abortions. And if we don't
right now, 6 out of 10 babies that are aborted in Texas are black.
Yes.
And then or brown.
Yes.
Only 20% of them are white.
Yeah.
So if you claim that Black Lives Matter, you'd want to eliminate abortion.
Exactly. But that's that. Remember,
but I never see those guys down there protesting.
We already know Black Lives Matter don't really care about Black Lives Matter. So we already know that.
Their stated objective is to destroy Western civilization, to destroy the family. Those are 2 stated objectives. Okay, so I'm asking hard questions. We're running out of time.
All right. One more.
Article 1, Section 27 of the Texas State Constitution.
Okay.
I want to legalize the Second Amendment in Texas. And Article 1, Section 23 of the Texas State Constitution says every citizen shall have the right to keep and bear arms in lawful defense of himself or the state. But then they put in a semicolon and said the legislature shall have power by law to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. I want to know if you, Bianca Gracia, would write legislation to eliminate those words after the semicolon and just leave it the first half. Every citizen should have the right to keep and bear arms in lawful defense of himself.
I am pro 2A. I've been endorsed by Stephen Williford. He's a dear friend of mine. I'm pro.
That would be the Barefoot Defender. You guys can find him.
Yeah. Listen, I think it's funny. Like, people are like, oh, but the silencer. They try to do all kinds. Listen, look, right to bear arms is right to bear arms. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how it shoots. You have the right to defend yourself. End of story. You can defend yourself with a rock, with a gun, with a knife. It don't matter. Listen, in the old days, they used to sharpen the little rock, make it into a little, stabbing. You can turn anything into a weapon.
Anything can be a weapon.
So it doesn't matter. You have the right to bear arms. And if you want to have a tank, and you blow up stuff, you have the right to bear arms. If it's good enough for the military, it's good enough for you as a citizen. So I have no problem with that, Doc. I'm not going to go back on my words. This is who I am. It's always been who I am. I do not cave. I cannot. Look, they've tried to buy me out already. Doesn't work with me. That's why they don't like me. Well, that's why they don't want me in Austin. And that's why they're going to throw millions of dollars and Trump endorsements at me and all kinds of stuff. Listen, God has the last word. And I literally did ask the Lord, why? Because again, look, these men, they're not bad. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, we have some good men that I'm running against. And there's another one. There's nothing wrong with them, but I asked the Lord, why did you put me? This is where you wanted me, but why these 3 men that are just, they're good. They're
well, I'm hoping all you feminists are going to get behind Bianca here. Yeah.
Let me tell you. But do you know what the Lord said to me, Doc? He said, daughter, I have made this position for you and remove the person so that you can take your rightful place in government. Those 3 men will have to get out of the way.
Well, I'm so far I'm completely convinced.
I don't know.
Okay, Doc, last and most difficult question.
Yes,
or at least it is for some people. Texas State Constitution again, Section 1. Texas is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States and the maintenance of our free institutions, and the perpetuity of that union depend on the preservation of the right of local self-government unimpaired to Texas? No, to all the states. And then in Section 2, it says all political powers inherent in the people and all free governments are founded on their authority. And the faith of the people of Texas stands pledged to the preservation of a republican form of government, that is a constitutionally based government, not a democracy. Mm-hmm. And subject to this limitation only, they have the the absolute right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in any manner as they may think expedient. So, Texas independence, where do you stand on that, Bianca Gracia?
Listen, it's simple for me. These are not hard questions. I've answered these before. It's where I stand. If we are in a place that we need to secede, then I'm all for it. Because I'm sorry, the federal government is not what we created it to be. Is out of control. The government outreach is out of control. Our own state is out of control. Mm-hmm. So somebody said, what is going to be your biggest challenge when you go to Austin? You know what I said? It's these
Republicans.
Laws. Listen, no, it's not all this stuff. No. It's simple. It's simple, Doc. It's even simpler than that. This stuff is easy. Party platforms, easy. I can champion any of that. That's easy part for me. Mm-hmm. People are like, but you have to, no. I've been fighting people all day. Listen, Bianca Gracia is going to be a bulldozer, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get what I want. Okay, period. So I'm not going to cave. Here's the simple thing for me. This is what I said. You know what the hardest challenge is for me? It's going to be taking the power out of the politicians and returning it back to the people. That's the hardest challenge. And that goes for you Democrats too, that are in power. The hardest challenge is to take your power away and return it back to the people. It's that simple for me.
Well, that's
the rest is all
definition
easy.
Of representation.
The rest is all easy for me, Doc. The rest
I
is
wish
pretty
some
much
of the other guys knew that.
That's it. It's Doc. It's that simple for me. And so I am, if you're out there and you're in Senate District 11, you have the opportunity to make history in Senate District 11. You have the opportunity to make history in the whole state of Texas.
Dare I say the obligation?
No, well, you can say that, but you have the opportunity to make history because let me tell you, the one thing that the Republican Party hasn't done yet in this history of Texas is send a Latina woman to go fight for you on every forefront: border security, election integrity, medical freedoms, 2A, everything pro-life, everything the doc has asked me. You have the opportunity to use me as your mouthpiece to fight the woke left liberal communist agenda that they're trying to shove down our throats. You don't think for 1 second that I'm not going to make the halls tremble from the Republicans and the Democrats? They don't want to deal with me, but they're going to have to, because you, the people, have the choice to send me in to fight for you. That's my message to Senate District 11. Let's make history, send a message to the rest of state of Texas and the nation to say, you know what? We're done with the politicians. We're done with the shiny little, hey, you've done your service. We thank you. You're good conservatives and we still need you. But we need a fighter now. We are past that. We need a bold fighter that's going to fight for the people. For the people, by the people is what you need to vote in. So if you know people in Senate District 11, get behind Bianca for Texas. Visit biancafortexas.com. I don't want big donations. I want grassroots donations. It's what's keeping my campaign funded. And that's what it is. Go look at my endorsements. Doc, I'm not begging people for endorsements. The people who've endorsed me have literally called me and said, we want to endorse you, or we're behind you, or we're supporting you. I'm not going to go, I'm sorry, I'm just not part of that whole system that, I need your endorsement. Are you going to endorse me? I ain't got time for that. My job right now is to turn out the vote. My job is to GOTV. What I've been taught in this party is get out the vote. So this is how we're going to make change. And to all your listeners out there, Doc, because I know that you have some great grassroots listeners out there, is get my message out. It's not time to play games anymore. It's not time to hand over our power anymore to politicians who are willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars for a Texas Senate seat. We need to get rid of that, the whole thing. You need to send in a champion and a fighter. And I have that proven record, Doc. You can go to my website as well. And on the About, you can see all of my accomplishments for the party, in the political realm, but you can also see that I am also experienced in the private sector and the public sector. So I have experience in courts. I have experience. You go look at my resume. I'm very transparent. You can ask me questions, send me messages. But I thank you so much for giving me a platform, Doc, as always. And thank you for coming out and meeting General Flynn. We had such a great time. He had a great time. We block walked my district.
We did, and it looked like he had good tacos too. But I paid for my breakfast. So.
Because you didn't wait till I got there.
Well, I was happy to pay for it, and
thank you, Doc.
And then, quite frankly, the Barefoot Defender, he actually ended up paying for all of our breakfast, so that was good. Bianca Gracia, you can see it right there. Bianca for Texas. That's FOR for all you truck driver guys out there. Bianca, FOR, Texas.com. She needs your help. She needs your money. She needs you to make phone calls. She needs you to send emails. Talk is cheap. Get out and do it.
Yep.
And let's go ahead and replace Larry Taylor with a real patriot. And Bianca, I know you're like super, super busy. I am just, I appreciate you taking the time to come in here and talk to my folks. So,
anytime, Doc. I've come in your show before, and so, hey, I would have been here sooner, but I got sick. So, and it wasn't COVID. So anyway, I'm still trying to recover, but I'm pushing through it. Talk about still a fighter. Even while I was sick, I was still out on the campaign trail, talking to people and doing what I need to do. So it is what it is, but it's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for defending our police officers. I've been endorsed by the Texas Narcotics Officers Association statewide, Office of Spanish Speakers. Yeah, they're still like, we need her. We need her in there defending us because their morale is down. They're at war, and it's going to get worse because all these illegal,
it's got to be
bad
super
people.
Disappointing. You arrest the guy, and the judge is going to have him back on the street in the afternoon.
So those guys need me, guys. The veterans need me. I'm a champion for veterans. I would do everything and anything. But my brother almost committed suicide on a beach one weekend because Hillary Clinton said there was no problems with the VA administration. That's why I started to speak out. I will do everything and anything for the veterans, and I mean anything. As far as push for them to be deputized to defend this Texas, if they have to defend our monuments, to defend anything, I will push for that. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you will not get a better fighter than me. You won't. And the left, bye-bye.
I don't think anyone, at least on this show, is remaining unconvinced. If you're watching this on YouTube, YouTube has banned my main channel because I said something that I shouldn't have said about a certain type of influenza. So anyway, I need you to like and share. Give me the thumbs up down there. Leave a comment. The comments make a huge difference. And then I need you to get out to BiancaForTexas.com. Join in the fight. Bianca Gracia, thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Doc.
Be right back, guys. I got Weston Martinez coming up.
Please return to the Doc Green Show. This is Marvin the Martian. When you miss it, you make me very, very angry.